Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, I'm your host Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Raging Grace. Raging Grace, which is available in theaters December 1st of 2023. Before we get into the review, let me introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Oh,
I'm not
what?
raging.
No.
I'm
No,
not raging.
no rage. No
Excellent.
Rage against.
Yeah.
The machine. The machine.
I was thinking Dylan Thomas against the dying light, but that's okay. That's okay. That's
All right.
okay.
That works.
You go rage.
Today,
you go rage
I am
against-
not raging. Now, if you want me to talk
Rage
about
against the
Iowa government, then
No.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
get enough politics in this movie. All right. Also joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm ready I'm ready to watch some entertainment where I could just turn my brain off and it's actually just good and it actually just entertains me. Did this movie do that? No.
Whoa, oh. No.
Way to
no.
bury the lead.
No holding back. All right, look out! There's somebody behind you. It's Freddy Krueger. All right.
A couple people.
Also joining us tonight is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr.
I'm glad I could grace you with my raging presence.
Dear God.
Mm.
What the heck? Between you and Jeff, that's the
did you mean that in a dirty way? That's what I want to
Oh,
Oh, wow. That's
I
raging.
missed it.
I'll grace your rage. What?
All right, so what
You
we're
can
going
say
to
that
do
about
tonight...
anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to give you our first impressions of Raging Grace. And those first impressions will be spoiler-free. And then we'll dive into the discussion and get into spoilers. There are spoilers to be had. This is kind of... There's mysteries. There's mysteries to be solved. And then we'll wrap things up with a score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each and every click will help us find more horror fans just like you. Just like you. All right, let's take a look at the card and get things going. Kaboom! Kaboom, I say. All right, Raging Grace is available in select theaters December 1st, 2023. Available on demand December 8th, 2023. Synopsis is: an undocumented Filipina immigrant lands a job as a care worker even for a terminal old man, securing a better life for her and her daughter. But a dark discovery threatens to destroy everything she's strived for and holds dear. It's written and directed by Paris Zarcilla, one of the two, maybe. And then the cast includes Max...
Are you guys made up?
Hey, hello. The cast includes Max Eigerman, Jaden Page Bodila, Leanne Best, and David Heyman. What the hell was that? All right.
I am.
All right. Wow. All right, let's find out what our first impressions are. Jeff, you're up first. What was your first impression of Raging Grace?
Well, all right. There's some sort of major political issues covered in this movie that kind of remind me of a movie that was out in the U.S. a couple of years ago. But that doesn't turn me off. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought the acting was excellent, and I loved the setting, the environment, and then, I felt like the setup, part of it was sort of set up a little bit like, if you remember the movie Parasite a couple of years ago,
I love
how
Parasite.
they had to live and off of where they were going and that kind of thing. They just didn't have a place to live. So it's a whole section of society that most people just don't even know about or think about or see. And what that gives people license to do as in how they treat those people. So I enjoyed it, and I especially liked the little girl. She was really good.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Grace.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's a semi-complicated story that starts one way and starts to go another way, and I enjoyed it.
All right, quite a bit actually, right? Yeah.
Sure.
All right, Crystal, what is your first impression of Raging Grace?
Okay, so yes, this movie is heavily political and so very sad and makes me feel claustrophobic. And it's a fantastic movie, but I hated it because that's just
No.
not what I want to watch. Like, I don't like those kinds of movies. I don't like those as horror movies. They don't do anything for me because I'm already a sad person in
Oh.
general. So, and I actually do keep up with political events, and I'm already sad enough about the stuff that happens in the world that I don't want to hear it and see it in my entertainment. However, the film is beautifully shot, beautifully acted. It's well written. I think it's a great film. It's a great film, and I think it's done well, but it's definitely not for me. And I would never recommend it to any of my horror fans, but horror loving fans, like, yeah, my horror loving fans. But if, I mean, I give kudos to the filmmakers, especially the actors. Like, they're all great. They're all great. And I do like kind of how it twists. They did a really great job with that. And yeah.
And
Sad,
twist,
though.
And twist again.
Yeah.
And then twist again.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Christopher G. Mohr, what was your first impression of Raging Grace?
First of all, I was very upset because I thought this was a sequel to Raging Bull, and it was not.
That's true.
I'm just joking.
I thought it was a sequel to Amazing Grace.
No.
Amazing Grace.
It should be called Enraged by its pacing. This film is so slow.
Oh,
So slow. Snails felt faster than this film. And I think that's the biggest problem I have with it. The pacing is very slow. And the only time it kind of picks up is towards the end. And that's when it got interesting for me. And I felt like, I think it was wearing a lot of its political stuff on its sleeve so much that it kind of took me out of that as well. I mean, I did like, and I feel like we've had a lot of films like this in the last few years, where it's like you have like people of other cultures that are working in homes of these rich people. We seem to have a lot of that recently that we've reviewed for this show. I thought the acting was great. I think it's shot very well. But there's moments where it sits on these long shots, and it's not really, to me, it just made me pay attention to my watch. And I'm like, this is not, Crystal, you talk about this is not my film either. I don't mind a slow burn if it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it was just, like every few minutes there'd be some kind of montage of this or montage of that. And I appreciate where it's going, and I kind of like, without giving too much away, the ending. I felt like how it embraced the Filipino culture elements, the religious culture, I guess. And I appreciate elements of what they're trying to tell. But this was a slog for me to get through, and very hard for me to pay attention. To where there was one moment where the film kind of stopped in the middle. I was like, good, I can take a break. So I hate saying that, but I think I was not. Yeah, this is a very hard film to watch because it was just so slow that it felt it was to its detriment that the pacing was that. It just made it boring for a good bit of it. Even though, again, I felt like it had interesting characters. Although for the most part, I hated that little girl.
Really? Oh, because
She's
she was
just
kind
a
of a
jerk.
brat.
She's such
Yeah,
a
okay.
jerk doing
I see
horror.
where-
You know, it's like to where I was kind of hoping it was going to be like, you know, an Exorcist film where the girl is possessed by some demon. It would kind of hit the horrible thing she's doing to her mother, replacing stuff throughout. And to me, that just felt more of a. Anyway, I was kind of bored by a good bit of this until the last fifth of it.
The last fifth, not even the third, the fifth. Last fifth. Well, I had a totally opposite impression of this, because for me, I totally got into our characters and was totally into what was happening. So to me, it flew by. I was interested in the characters. I was engaged. I was interested to see where it was going with the creepy old man upstairs. And then once that shifted, it got even better. I don't know. I think I'm kind of with Crystal as far as horror fans, because it is, even though there are horror elements, there's a few. We'll touch on those here shortly when we get into our spoilers. But the horror is more, I guess the word oppression is the horror of one person oppressing another, or one set of
in
people
multiple ways.
oppressing
Like,
other people. But there are horror elements in this, with intentions and murder and mystery, and there's a couple nightmares, and we'll get into all those in a bit. But for me, I think the acting and the filmmaking totally got me into it. I liked the mom and the daughter and what was going through their strife, and they're trying to, because they, like they said, they're undocumented and they don't have enough money to get the documentation because it's not going to be cheap to get it illegally, I guess. So this job is an opportunity for them, but of course it's obviously not a good opportunity, but they're too blind to see it at first, and then when they do see it, it's too late. And it's just, I don't know. I was
too blind to see it. I don't think that they don't have a choice.
Well,
Like,
that might be true.
They
too.
don't have a choice. It's really more about yeah.
Well, she certainly didn't see it when she took the job, because she was only there for like 5 minutes. But once they got there, then she started seeing what was going on. But it was, I don't know. I was totally engaged. I found it interesting. But like I said, I agree with Crystal. I don't know if I would recommend it to too many horror fans, but I think it's an exceptional drama.
I agree.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Nightingale too.
Oh, I loved Nightingale though.
Yeah, well, but there was maybe there was definite political stuff going on there between the settlers and that in Tasmania. Yeah, I loved it. I was.
Sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
I was totally engrossed, and I was in it all the time, and had no feeling whatsoever of being slow. So
Yeah,
I
wasn't bored at all.
and I think it's a stretch to call it a horror fan, but horror film. But that's just kind of me. There's horrific things going on. I'm usually the one that says it's good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting ornery in my older age, but I loved it, and there is horrifying stuff, and there were. I thought there was some supernatural stuff going to come into it there for a minute.
I think that's what they were trying. They were almost like turning into a gothic horror.
I mean,
But
they
stopped just short.
Well,
they did. They stopped just short of it. Yeah.
Well, when it got interesting to me is when they injected that. We're in Spoilerville, by the way.
Yes, we are in spoilers.
When she got injected with the drug that made her
she
like
started having
hallucinate,
dreams,
and that's when it got interesting to me.
That was
finally,
crazy.
to where I was like, oh God, because there's like the moment with like the cockroaches, and then there's like a moment that felt like something out of like Silent Hill, or like the zombie movie where all the zombies don't know you're there, and that kind of got interesting for a good bit. I think that's probably the horror element. I'm more so than anything else, because it had those traditional horror scenes, with stuff pouring out of people's mouths. And
The sleepwalking was a bit on the horror side too, because it kind of implied something was going on.
Yeah, sure.
It started. It did imply something supernatural going on with the lady in the glass coffin. And I'm
Yeah,
still not.
that
I'm still
is
not.
super creepy too. Like
Yeah.
that is super creepy. Like what, dude?
And I'm still not
No, like the
thoroughly
whole. Let me tell
convinced
you,
it didn't have a part to do with it.
I can't like that dude was such a POS. Like it was just, I was just so turned off by the whole thing, and I know it's done well, and I can actually see the film for what it is versus when he's like, oh, I prefer the term. I can't even. I don't
He
even.
wants to be called master. Yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Like I'm like, okay, I'm done with this film. Like as far as like it's just not for me. It's just not a film for me. I don't like to watch things like that. That stuff hurts my freaking soul, literally. And so I can't watch it.
Well, he certainly won both of them over early, and of course the mom saw through it sooner than the daughter did. But that makes sense because of the age factor.
Yeah.
But she
Plus,
does
he was
see
playing
it.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I felt like the young girl was so susceptible to doing horrible things.
Like the
To
jam.
that woman, where I was like, wow, you know.
Well, the whole bleach thing all over everything was pretty rough too. So I mean, there's some more horror
but
elements in that as well. And then a different.
Yeah. So that was for later on
Yeah.
at the beginning, what she was doing to her mother. I felt like that was sort of setting up her sneakiness and her ability to do stuff like that. Only now we're going to take it to a super nasty level. The stuff before wasn't nasty. It was just irritating. It was the equivalent of unscrewing the top off a salt shaker.
Yeah, crying for attention. Crying for attention.
I wouldn't.
And
I
I
would say
see
it's
why.
that.
I get it.
No, that little.
Absolutely.
No. Let's not excuse her. I'm sorry. We will not excuse her things that she's doing. That her mom is working hard to
Christopher.
make a living.
Yeah, but
has no money.
Christopher,
She's
she
ruining
has-
her food and her drink. That girl's.
Yeah, but Christopher.
I'm not even gonna. I want to curse to say what I feel like that
She
little
has
girl is.
no home. Look, I
Well,
would
that's
normally
that's true too,
totally
but-
agree with you. She has no home. She literally has to sneak around and sleep in a closet. I mean,
But I'm
it's
talking
really,
about when they're in that
Ugh,
house
it's so
before,
sad.
and she's
Yeah, and
replacing
she
her
still-
stuff, and then
she
she's
still had
laughing
to
at her
sleep.
like, ha ha
That's-
ha.
That's how they've lived the whole time. She still had to hide, and that's why her
They
mom was.
they were hiding
They-
in that house because the people weren't there.
Yeah, they had, and they
Yeah,
had
well,
the
there's a
idea-
lot of problems there. I mean, there's a lot. Definitely, the mom
thing's
needs
so
to be
sad.
able to communicate stuff to her kids.
Yes,
so there's
that's a
issues
big
there
one.
that I was like, just tell your daughter.
Tell her. Yes, I know.
But yeah, I mean, there's all these specific issues that, with the way the story plays out. I mean, the mom has the hardest ability for her arc to happen. She has to have her daughter step up and do something before she does anything.
But what I
Right.
really liked is they made the Christine character, the niece of the old man they're watching, be so odd
Catherine.
and strange. Catherine. What did I say, Christine?
Yeah.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Be so odd and suspect, right? So they made her heavily suspect that she was doing something evil, and well, she was, but she. Apparently,
but for the
apparently
right
she had,
reasons.
apparently she has some
Somewhat
reason.
justified. Yeah.
But we don't learn that right away, and then they, so they start going against that woman's wishes to help the man, because she's apparently got a nursing background, and she was looking at the oath that she took, so she, I like the motivation there, and then they got the guy awake out of his chemically induced coma, and things go from bad to worse, and he looks like he's a saint at first, and then he's not.
I don't know. I
He's
kind of saw
awful.
that coming a
He's
mile
awful.
away.
Yeah, but he's horrible.
But then
He makes me want to
but I
throw
don't think either one of them in that family is any good, to be honest.
No, they're still.
But she didn't have to help. She didn't have to get the mom out, and she didn't have to help them get their citizenship.
Oh, that's true.
She really didn't. So, like, she did help her, even after the daughter tried to kill her. So, I have to say, I have to give her major kudos and major props for that. As messed up as that woman was, I think a lot of the reason she was messed up is because of that man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, he
No
had
kidding.
her sign her mother into an institution at 11 and convinced her that was the right thing. Yeah, y'all have got to think about the way people are raised and why they do the things that they do.
The motivation
Yeah.
was definitely there.
I'm just-
we didn't have it at first, but when we learn it, it all starts to make sense. And
She's
I like
a very
that.
sad
And I like
character,
that.
man.
I like
that
aspect
Everyone
of
is so
Well,
sad.
I was kind of worried they were going to go
Ugh.
some kind of. I was
Abusive
worried they were
boyfriend.
going to pedophile town
too.
at some point,
Me
and I was like,
too.
oh, I was hoping it wouldn't go there because the way that
Mhm.
he was acting and stuff. So, but still, yeah. I mean, it is kind of interesting how
Thank
it plays
God.
out and how you have this family aspect that also kind of reflects on the family and what she's doing to her daughter by not communicating well and keep trying to hide stuff all the time or hide from things, and how you need to be more upfront about things
Yeah.
and communicate when it comes to your family members.
I thought it was really well written how it intertwined all these different factors and the upbringing and the fact that her mother was or that she was a product of rape, and that's why the mother didn't want to tell her, and why they were in this situation. So anyway, there's so much of that going on that we don't know about, and so I like it when they bring it out and show what those lives could be like.
Well, doesn't the ending make it questionable whether it was rape or just whether she got involved with a married man and then the married man didn't want anything to do with her?
When she got pregnant, it could have
Yeah.
been either way.
'Cause they don't
Could have been
necessarily
either way.
say
I think he was.
Well, they
abusive
might have
toward
hired
her.
her, and then the guy.
Well, that might be.
You know,
I got
if
the
you're
impression.
if you're in a country illegally and a guy comes to you, so we don't know.
Yeah, so I got
We
the
don't know, but
impression. I got the impression it was rape at first, Jeff, when she was telling the old man, but when she goes up and says at the very end and says,
This is
tell
your
your
husband's
husband's
daughter.
yeah.
Mhm.
Then it felt like it was a affair that they got kicked to the curb once.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of unsure about.
Yeah. But anyway,
Yeah,
regardless,
I'm not buying it.
yeah, regardless, I do because I don't. If it was rape, I don't think they'd go up to the house. They.
Yeah,
I
it would be
sure
so
would.
Well, she
nonchalant.
wanted
A
to
police
know.
officer might, but not her.
Well, you tell me what I'm trying to get at that I'm not getting across is that when a person who has power and control over somebody else
Oh,
wants
yeah.
something that the other person doesn't want, and they're afraid of the consequences, it may have, so.
So
That's
I do like the idea that the glass coffin came back into the story at the end. I liked how that played out.
Oh yeah, and the little girl,
Yep.
the old
Smush.
who thought I was walking towards him.
Yeah, I thought that was good. Because I wanted it to be a little bit more supernatural, like she was going to actually move and come
Do
out of the coffin.
something.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wanted something, but having the girl stand
Eyes
up
open
so
or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but having the girl be so strong for herself and defend herself so well, I like.
I think that was important.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the daughter is perfectly fine. I mean, I think
Obnoxious,
she's-
perhaps, yeah.
I
but-
think but also she has an obnoxious life. It would be horrible. The life that she's had. No wonder. And every time she tries to talk to her mother literally doesn't listen
Doesn't
to her
listen
at
to
all.
her,
tells her
yeah.
to
At
shush
all.
a lot. Yeah.
At all. I mean, nothing. And so I don't really blame the girl. She's trying to discover herself and the world around her and having a very hard time. And so
And
the
she has
one
to do-
person who's
she has to
actually
do ex-
listening. This is why when parents act like that, then they're shocked that their child winds up turning to someone like that old man, and it's like, well, he listened to her. He was he showed her kindness. He showed her, it's like, what do you expect?
Well, look,
And that's why she had to go to such extremes to get her mom's attention at the beginning of the movies because she wouldn't listen to her. So
Now,
she had to do
unless
those
I'm
tricky things.
unless I missed something, how did she know where those letters were?
I don't know.
Well,
That's an interesting one.
she was cleaning, and it fell. She moved
fell out-
something
fell
on
on
the
the top
top
of the
shelf,
box.
and something
Okay,
fell off.
okay, yeah. For some reason, I kind of missed that. It felt like very random, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
because
missed
that's
too.
where the medicine was, and she went up there and was putting the medicine
And
down.
then when
Okay,
stuff
gotcha,
started happening,
gotcha.
that's when she went and dug them out and started.
I must have tuned out for
That
some
must have
reason.
been your break. Your break.
Like,
Yeah.
the monotony kind of tuned out at that
Some
point.
people have a span of attention, and
Well, especially when
All right,
stuff
all right.
isn't not entertaining at all.
Oh no!
Oh,
With that,
snap.
let's get our let's go ahead and give us our score and our favorite scene. Let's see who went first. Jeff goes first.
Jeff.
Or Chris
I
goes
went first.
All right,
Jeff.
Jeff, give us your score.
Boy, oh
and
boy, oh
favorite
boy. So this is a score just as a movie. I'm going to give this a 4.25 just as
scene.
a
Oh,
movie.
nice! Wow. Okay.
I would, if I was talking to a horror fan about it, I would give them a big caveat. Not a lot of death, not any gore, not any, although there's crazy shit at the end. Yeah, there is. So anyway, favorite scene. My favorite scene is going to be when he is. This is when he kind of starts to reveal himself. He's talking to Joy about having grown up in the Philippines, and he starts describing the cockfights and how the chickens are treated. Mm-hmm. And then very quickly you realize that's how he's treating Filipinos. They're the same way. So I really like that.
It was a good way to share that information, wasn't it?
I thought so.
Crystal, you're up next. Your score, favorite scene.
This is a hard one.
You didn't like it.
I did not like it, but that doesn't mean I don't think it's a quality movie. I think the movie's quality. I actually didn't feel like Christopher, like it was slow. I didn't see that either. I'm going to give it a 3.5. And my favorite scene, oh god, okay. There's a couple things I like. I liked when the mom and the daughter were being medicine women in the kitchen, kind of doing their things. I thought that was sweet. Mm-hmm. Like it made me feel good about the movie. I don't like these kind of movies because I'm like, oh no, it's too much for me. The intensity, but that was sweet. It showed that they're on the road to repair for their relationship, is what it felt like, So that was good.
They had a common goal.
Yeah.
Misplaced as it was. Christopher T. Mohr. Oh dear. What is your score and your favorite scene?
Oh god.
I felt I was in a self-induced coma watching this.
Yes.
No, I say that it's to me, my biggest problem is the pacing. That is my main problem with it, and I think, I was bored throughout a good bit of it until it kind of kicked into gear towards the end. But it's shot well, and it's well acted. I think it's well written, even though a lot of the politics they don't try to hide it. It's in your face. No. So
I know it's hard. Mm-hmm.
On the merits of the look and acting, I'll give it a 3.
Ooh, we had to yank that out like a bad tooth.
I'm not going to say that I'd prefer getting my teeth ripped out instead of watching this again, but it's a very slow film. But I will say, like, if you fast forward
through the first,
the very end, when the girl's tripping on drugs, that's my favorite scene, because that was the moment that felt like, okay, now we're in horror territory, and it was very effective. Because I think when she sees all those cockroaches coming out of his mouth, and I hate cockroaches.
Yeah, me too.
I hate it.
And it was after all the pills came popping out too first. Oh man,
I hate it. Anytime those scenes happen, I get creep. I mean, that's like Creep Show, man. I hate that. Like, I'm that guy in Creep Show. I'm spraying everywhere. I don't want cockroaches in my house. So that I think that was very effective, even though very CGI, but yeah, I'll say that's my favorite scene.
Yeah, they taste fine. They tickle on the way down.
Ooh, stop.
Ew. No, sir. No, sir.
Chocolate covered.
No, yeah.
Ooh, well, I
Ooh.
bet chocolate covered would be better at least.
Little drizzle of caramel. I'm giving this a 3.75.
Okay.
Almost creeping up to a 4, but I'm going to keep it at 3.75. And I think if it, and I think a lot of that's like Crystal said, and Jeff too. The horror's not really there. I mean, it gets implied, and there's like one or maybe two scenes, but it's more of a murder mystery kind of thing. But it still makes for a damn fine film in my eyes. Okay, so I have a favorite scene, but before I do that, I want to point out. Okay, so when you have exposition, you have to be careful how you stage and shoot your exposition because it could be very right in your face, right, Christopher? You could be sitting in your face. There was a huge scene of exposition when was it Christina? No, it's not Christina. Who was it? Catherine? No.
Catherine.
Catherine comes home early, and the girl's trapped with her mom. And she needs to get out. Well, Catherine's just going on with all this exposition about stuff, and we're watching the little girl try to sneak her way out. And I thought that was a great way to handle all that exposition because we're listening, but we're also watching to make sure this girl gets out free and safe because we think if she gets caught, things are going to go down very sad. So I just wanted to point that out because I thought that was really, really well done. For me, there are actually two other scenes I could pick. I really liked the dream, the sleepwalking scene, and because it was handled in a very creepy manner, with her following her around, and when she come like running at her with the knife, it had a little bit of chill to it. And when they went down into the basement and saw the body in the glass coffin, it was creepy. It was creepy, and I think they achieved the gothic feel to it of that. It had kind of, with the casket and everything, or the glass coffin. I think they could have used that more in the film.
I agree.
Because that could have been a much more. It felt like it needed to be much more in the forefront to.
Well, it was in the locked room, right? Right.
It was in the basement. Yeah, and then I think it would have served the story too. So, because that lady's story was as much part of the story, it was like a foretelling of what their story was going to be, right? And if I didn't pick that scene, it would be I'm going to kick this glass coffin over on your head scene.
Oh yeah.
Because that was awesome. All right, well there you go. That's
what do you do to a body to have it like that though?
Well, you'd have to have some under the table people put that thing together.
Well, you'd have to embalm it, and then you'd have to
plasticize it or something.
Stuff it like a stuffed animal, right?
No. Jeff's right. It has to be plasticized. Like, have you ever seen that? They have a museum. Like, I worked at the Museum of Health and Medical Science. We had an exhibit that went around, and it was organs and people's body parts.
Like the living bodies.
Like bodies?
Yeah, that's it. The living body.
And they're called plasticized? Plasticized?
Yeah. It's basically
I just made up that word, but it's a process.
Thing.
There's a process to it. Yeah.
Maybe he got.
They do that
Price.
with. You can see your veins all. Yeah. Well, I think they did.
Yeah,
that
so they took this. They took this convict who was executed, and he donated his body to science, and they they vivisected it and these and so they were able to map out the whole nervous system because you know how hard it is to see the nervous system. It's very cool. You could see a whole 3D image of his body. It was crazy. But the family asked for the body back, and it's like there is no body.
Yeah.
Well, where's his body? Well, like they cut the pieces so thin. It's crazy. And then they kind of
the display I saw was
so somebody was back there trying to glue it all back together.
No,
the display I saw was they had. They would have like the skeleton in athletic poses, and then they'd have the muscles in athletic poses of a full human being.
That's the same one.
Stuff around, you could just see it. Same with blood vessels and nervous system.
Yeah, the bodies, living bodies exhibit that goes around different places.
Yep.
She still needed to come to life and chase everybody around. Anyway, so there's our review for Raging Grace. It's out in theaters December 1st, and then it'll be VOD the week after. When you get to check it out, let us know what you think of it down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Crystal, Jeff, Christopher, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.
So different.
Me too. Me too. I loved it.
All right.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I didn't love
Fun
it,
with the
but
rest of you guys.
it was a very nice film.
there you
I
go.
made it through.
You made it through. One break. All right. With that, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.